Can you picture it? Can you even begin to imagine what it would look like if Real Madrid, the greatest football club in the history of the sport, were to reinforce the beating heart of its midfield with a player who is not only young and brilliant, but also mature enough to step forward and assume the role of absolute leader from the very first day he arrives at the Santiago Bernabéu? Close your eyes for a moment and try to visualize the scene. A new era, a fresh chapter written in golden letters, unfolding in the majestic cathedral of football, with the entire team constructed around a generational talent destined not simply to shine, but to redefine what it means to wear the famous all-white kit. This is not the stuff of idle fantasy or late-night speculation. No, Madridistas, what is being prepared behind the scenes has the potential to alter the landscape of European football for the next decade. And let us be perfectly clear, we are not talking about just another footballer, not one more name in the endless carousel of transfer rumors that swirl every summer. We are talking about a player with the raw potential and refined skill to become the very engine of Real Madrid for the next 10 years, a talent around whom a dynasty could be built. The player's name? Vitinha, the Portuguese midfield maestro currently shining at Paris Saint-Germain. A footballer who, despite his youth, has already earned the respect of teammates, coaches, and rivals across the continent. He is not simply promising, he is already delivering. His touch, his intelligence, his capacity to dictate the tempo of a match with the calmness of a veteran are qualities that make scouts, journalists, and fans alike stop and take notice. And yet, beyond his technical brilliance, there is something even more compelling. Vitinha has never hidden his dream. On more than one occasion, he has made it clear that his ultimate ambition is to wear the iconic white shirt of Real Madrid, to step onto the hallowed grass of the Bernabéu, and to carve his own story into the epic saga written by countless legends before him. Imagine him walking out of the tunnel, greeted by the roar of 80,000 Madridistas, knowing that he is not just another signing, but a protagonist in a story stretching back over a century. That is not mere speculation, it is a dream he himself has confessed. Yes, Madridistas, you heard it correctly. Vitinha's heart is already drawn to Madrid. He does not disguise it, he does not temper it. He wants to play for Real Madrid. And what makes this story even more electrifying is the growing sense that Florentino Perez, the master strategist, the visionary president who has time and again shaped the future of the club with bold strokes, is ready to make this desire a reality. Let us remind ourselves of something crucial. Real Madrid does not improvise when it comes to great signings. This is not a club that acts on whims or is swayed by passing fashions in the transfer market. When Madrid identifies a player as essential, it does not hesitate, it does not falter, and it certainly does not settle. The club waits, it prepares, it studies the moment with almost surgical precision, and when the time is right, it executes the move with the ruthless efficiency of a champion. This is how Cristiano Ronaldo was brought from Manchester United. This is how Zidane came from Juventus. This is how Luka Modric, Toni Kroos, and more recently Jude Bellingham, arrived and changed the course of the team's history. Vitinha is not just a name in a notebook. He is not just a rumor to sell newspapers or generate clicks. Vitinha is viewed by those who matter as the potential cornerstone of Madrid's next great midfield. A midfield that, let us be honest, is entering a new era. The departures of Toni Kroos and Luka Modric, two giants, two masters who redefined the art of midfield play, have left a void that is as emotional as it is tactical. These men were not just players. They were architects of an era, visionaries whose elegance and intelligence guided Real Madrid to Champions League triumphs and eternal glory. Replacing them seems, at first glance, an impossible task. And yet, this is Real Madrid. This is the club that does not crumble under the weight of history but thrives on it. Every time the giants of the past step aside, new heroes emerge. This is the essence of the Madridista spirit: continuity through renewal, greatness preserved by constant evolution. Vitinha offers precisely that possibility. He brings the tactical awareness of a Kroos, the agility and space-finding genius of a Modric, and yet he is no mere copy of either. He is his own player, with his own identity, his own rhythm, his own interpretation of football. In him, Madrid would not simply find a replacement. They would discover a new focal point, a fresh energy, a leader capable of carrying the midfield into a future full of challenges and triumphs. Think about it, Madridistas. Vitinha in midfield alongside Fede Valverde, Aurelien Tchouaméni, Eduardo Camavinga, and Jude Bellingham. Imagine that constellation of youth, power, energy, and intelligence. A midfield both dynamic and creative, capable of pressing high, transitioning with speed, and controlling the ball with elegance. A midfield that could dominate Europe not for a season or two, but for an entire decade. This is what is at stake. Vitinha does not simply represent another talented signing. He represents the chance to extend Madrid's reign into the next era, to guarantee that the legend continues unbroken. The Bernabeu, newly renovated and shining like the jewel of world football, is waiting for new heroes to take center stage. Vitinha could be one of those heroes. And here lies the truth that cannot be ignored. When a player's dream is aligned with the ambition of Real Madrid, history shows us that destiny has a way of uniting them. It may not happen overnight. It may not happen in the next transfer window. But rest assured, Madridistas, when the stars align, when Florentino decides the time has come, and when Vitinha is ready to make the leap, the move will happen. And when it does, the entire football world will take notice. So prepare yourselves. The whispers you hear now may soon grow into thunder. Vitinha wants Madrid. Madrid wants Vitinha. And when those two forces meet, the footballing universe will witness the birth of something extraordinary. The new sporting project at Real Madrid, meticulously orchestrated and led with composure and vision by Xabi Alonso, is not a spontaneous gamble or the result of short-term thinking. It is the next logical step in a legacy that stretches back over a century, a project carefully designed to preserve what makes Real Madrid the most dominant and feared institution in world football. The philosophy is clear, even if the execution is enormously complex. Blend youth with experience, marry technical brilliance with physical superiority, and harmonize individual flair with collective sacrifice. This has always been the recipe for greatness at Madrid. From the days of Di Stefano and Gento, through the Galactico era, and into the modern dominance under Zidane and Ancelotti, Los Blancos have never relied solely on money or reputation. They have relied on building squads that balance artistry with resilience, that value not only the player's skill but also their mentality, their ability to thrive when the stakes are highest. Within this ambitious framework, there was a void to be filled. Madrid needed a midfielder who was not just another talented cog in the machine, but someone capable of orchestrating the rhythm of games, of thinking one step ahead, of turning defense into attack with a single pass. They needed a player who could carry the weight of the white shirt, who could be trusted when the noise of the Bernabeu became deafening and the entire world was watching. That search leads to one obvious name, Vitinha. A player forged under pressure. At Paris Saint-Germain, Vitinha has already lived through a footballing education that few players experience so early in their careers. Sharing the dressing room with generational icons like Lionel Messi, Neymar Jr., and Kylian Mbappe is not just about glamour. It is about pressure, expectation, and learning how to perform when every mistake is magnified by millions of eyes. Many talented youngsters have wilted under such circumstances, overshadowed by bigger personalities or unable to adapt to the demands of a club constantly under scrutiny. Vitinha, however, thrived. Surrounded by some of the most gifted attackers of all time, he did not fade into the background. He asserted himself. His style, subtle yet incisive, allowed him to be the silent architect in a team of fireworks. By the age of 24, Vitinha had already achieved a level of maturity that most midfielders spend half a decade trying to reach. He learned not only how to protect the ball under relentless pressing, but also how to accelerate the tempo when needed, how to pick the lock against deep defensive blocks, and how to resist the mental pressure of knockout stage Champions League ties. Numbers that speak, and a style that transcends statistics. Of course, the numbers confirm what the eyes already see. An 89% passing accuracy across top-level competitions. More than 2 clear chances created per game. A defensive awareness that allows him to intercept passes and neutralize transitions before they become dangerous. A rare balance between vertical risk-taking and safe ball circulation. But statistics, however impressive, never tell the whole story. Vitinha is more than the sum of his metrics. He is a midfielder who interprets football. He plays with his head always lifted, scanning the pitch like a chess grandmaster studying his opponent. He knows when to slow the game, when to inject pace, when to thread a pass through the lines that nobody else dares attempt. And most importantly, he never hides. In the 85th minute of a Champions League quarterfinal, when tension crushes less experienced players, Vitinha still demands the ball, still offers himself as an outlet, still seeks to be the heartbeat of his team. That mentality is what separates good footballers from great ones, and great ones from legends. Why Real Madrid? The pull of the crest. While other European clubs scramble to retain their best talents by offering astronomical salaries or marketing promises, Real Madrid does not need to oversell itself. The badge, the Bernabeu, and the history do the talking. What Madrid offers cannot be measured in euros. It is prestige. It is the chance to lift the Champions League not once but multiple times. It is the opportunity to carve your name into the same marble where Di Stefano, Raul, Cristiano Ronaldo, Modric, and Benzema reside. Playing for Madrid is not a career step, it is a transcendence. And Vitinha, with his intelligence and humility, is precisely the kind of player who understands what this means. He does not arrive as a celebrity looking for endorsements. He would arrive as an artisan of the game, ready to etch his name into history through work, discipline, and brilliance. Imagining the midfield of dreams. Now, imagine the configuration. Vitinha, the cerebral orchestrator, dictating the tempo. Federico Valverde, with his tireless energy and ability to cover every blade of grass. Jude Bellingham, the late-arriving force into the box, capable of scoring as much as creating. Eduardo Camavinga, a whirlwind of dynamism and aggression, breaking lines with both dribbling and recovery. Add to this mix the experience of Toni Kroos, whose calm distribution remains unmatched, the eternal magic of Luka Modric, still able to conjure moments of genius, and the defensive authority of Aurelien Tchouaméni as a shield in front of the backline. What you get is not just a strong midfield, it is a generational midfield. A lineup that could dominate Spain with consistency, while terrifying Europe with its balance of technique, intensity, and youth. This quartet, with Vitinha at its core, would rival and perhaps even surpass the legendary midfields of Madrid's past. The CMK trio, Casemiro, Modric, Kroos, was once considered untouchable. But football evolves, and this new iteration could mark the dawn of another dynasty, one that combines the wisdom of the past with the hunger of a new generation. Vitinha as a statement of intent. Vitinha is not merely a potential signing, he is a statement. A declaration that Real Madrid is not satisfied with its past conquests, no matter how glorious. The club is building for the next era, an era in which the Bernabeu, newly renovated, gleaming, futuristic, will demand a team worthy of its stage. Just as Alfredo Di Stefano once redefined what Madrid could be in the 1950s, as Zidane elevated it in the early 2000s, and as Cristiano Ronaldo powered it through the 2010s, Vitinha represents a piece of the next identity. Not a Galactico in the traditional sense, but a player whose intelligence, adaptability, and mentality are perfectly aligned with the Madridista spirit. In Vitinha, Real Madrid would not just be buying passes, interceptions, or dribbles. They would be buying vision. They would be investing in a player capable of shaping matches, dictating the flow of entire seasons, and anchoring a midfield that could dominate Europe for the next decade. What is unfolding behind the curtain, in those hidden spaces where the great deals of European football are silently shaped, only reinforces the powerful illusion that has begun to spread among Madridistas across the globe. Florentino Perez, the president of Real Madrid and a master strategist in the intricate chessboard of world football, has already made his move with the precision of someone who knows the weight of every decision. Quietly, away from cameras and press conferences, conversations have intensified with Jorge Mendes, one of the most influential agents in the global football industry and the representative of Portuguese midfielder Vitinha. These were not casual or exploratory talks. They were meaningful exchanges that, according to whispers from those closest to the matter, have already borne fruit. What exists now is more than speculation, a verbal agreement, a gentleman's understanding that places Vitinha directly in Real Madrid's orbit. The deal carries with it an unspoken but powerful promise. If the midfielder leaves Paris Saint-Germain, there will be only one destination, one sacred ground waiting for him, the Santiago Bernabeu. Of course, every seasoned follower of the transfer market understands the immensity of the challenge ahead. Negotiating with PSG is never a simple endeavor. The Parisian club is backed by almost unlimited economic power, a state project wrapped in footballing ambition, and they are notoriously stubborn when it comes to letting their most valued players go. Yet, in the history of this sport, if there is one institution capable of defying the odds, capable of turning impossibility into reality, it is Real Madrid. This is not just a club, it is a force of attraction, a gravitational pull that even the richest contracts cannot compete with. Real Madrid does not merely sign players, it offers them the chance to become eternal, to carve their names in marble alongside legends of the past, to step into history rather than simply play in the present. In Portugal, the news of Vitinha's potential move has resonated with deep national pride. For a country that has consistently produced world-class footballers, from Eusebio to Luis Figo, from Cristiano Ronaldo to Bernardo Silva, this transfer would represent yet another confirmation that Portuguese football is an endless well of talent. Local media outlets have revisited the beginnings of Vitinha's career with a certain affection, remembering his early days in Porto, the first signs of his extraordinary vision and control, the confidence with which he dictated tempo despite his youth. His trajectory has been meteoric, a steady climb from local prodigy to European recognition, and eventually to the glitzy, high-pressure stage of Paris Saint-Germain. To see him now linked to Real Madrid is not just a matter of career progression. It is a symbol, a declaration that Portuguese footballers are destined to shine on the brightest and most demanding stages of the global game. In France, however, the narrative takes on a very different shade. Their anxiety grows by the day. French newspapers and commentators dissect the situation with a mixture of apprehension and frustration. The potential departure of Vitinha is seen not merely as the loss of a talented midfielder, but as a symbolic blow. For PSG, losing him to Real Madrid would reinforce a narrative they have been struggling to escape, that no matter how much money is invested, no matter how many stars are assembled under the Parisian banner, the lure of Real Madrid remains stronger, more magnetic, more eternal. It is the painful reminder that while PSG may be rich, Real Madrid is rich in history, and history always wins. And let us be clear, what Madridistas face is not simply another signing, not merely the addition of a skilled player to a competitive squad. This is something far greater. Vitinha embodies youth, projection, and refinement. He is a symbol of continuity, of generational change, a player who offers quality, balance, and leadership for both the present and the future. His arrival would not only strengthen the midfield in the wake of our legend's gradual departure, it would also represent a powerful message to the entire continent. It would say, unequivocally, that Real Madrid remains the axis around which European football turns. Because that is who we are. That is what defines Real Madrid. While others live in the immediacy of the present, this club always thinks decades ahead. It builds dynasties, not teams. It envisions not only how to win the next match, but how to dominate eras. Each signing is not just about solving a tactical puzzle. It is about laying another brick in the cathedral of football's history. Vitinha's possible arrival is a declaration of intent, a reaffirmation of what it means to wear the white shirt, ambition, excellence, and the eternal hunger for glory. Portugal would see in him a beacon of national pride. France would feel the sting of loss and frustration, but for Madridistas, it would be a dream turned into reality. And for Vitinha himself, the implications are profound. To play for Real Madrid is not like playing for any other club. It is to carry the weight of legends on your shoulders, to train on the same pitch where Di Stefano once commanded, to walk into the Bernabeu knowing you are part of a legacy that stretches back more than a century. It is to understand that every pass, every tackle, every goal is not just for today's scoreboard, but for the annals of football eternity. And so, if everything unfolds as it currently appears, if these conversations become signatures, if words turn into deeds, we may soon witness Vitinha stepping onto the sacred grass of the Santiago Bernabeu. There, under the lights, cheered by thousands, he would not just be another player. He would be the Portuguese midfielder who dared to write his own chapter in the greatest story ever told in football, the story of Real Madrid. Because in this club, dreams are not fragile illusions. Here, dreams are plans. Here, the impossible becomes inevitable. And if Vitinha arrives, it will not simply be the story of a transfer. It will be the beginning of another golden page in the book of a club that was, is, and always will be the king of Europe.